Good to go.
What's up, guys? This is another episode of Brochachos, brought to you by nobody because
Brochachos.
we don't have any fucking sponsors.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
But
And
that's the plan.
yeah, I'm gonna try to stop moving around so much because my computer screen is blurring out my body for Brochachos, and I think it's kind of cool. But I'm fidgety because the ADD and stuff. So it's
Is that a self diagnosis?
no, actually, I was diagnosed by the VA.
Oh. Well, I mean, that's cool, I guess.
Well, they're pieces of shit, and they lie all the time. So I don't know.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe a little bit. We all got a little bit of something.
No shit, dude. There's literally times where like I'll be like so focused on one thing and like get sidetracked and get caught up and just completely forget about what the fuck I was doing in the first place.
That's because we're men, bud. That happens to me all the fucking time.
It was like, well,
Anywho, all right. So today we're gonna do another ATF. I forgot what we were calling it. Above the fold. Because no, we haven't had any big UFCs happen. There was one today, but I didn't watch it because fuck them.
I
But
was
the next
literally
one's gonna be
just
a good
watching
one.
the main event.
We'll watch the next one though. We'll do a podcast on the next one.
Yeah.
And that'll be one of our sports programs. But today we're going to do above the fold, where it's just it's just Dustin and I because Brandon's gay, and
Yes.
he had to go fulfill his boyfriend duties and help his girlfriend move. So you have to deal with us two today. And
Yeah.
so again, above the fold is it's a classic term from the newspaper times, where the important headlines were above the fold, and we're going to talk about some shit. And we didn't script it. We don't know what each other's headlines are going to be, but we're going to throw out some headlines and then we're going to dissect them, talk about the problems, and if there are any solutions. Since I didn't get to go last time, I guess I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
So,
I'm good with that.
so my headline, it's not really a headline. It's kind of this thing that's been happening a lot lately in the United States, and I saw it on the Denver Post, right? So the Denver Post, the Denver Recreation Center's DMV offices are cutting back hours to help pay for migrant crisis. So Mayor Mike Johnson outlines plan to shave $5 million from city budget to help with the migrant crisis. And my headline or headlines are focused around that shit. And since we can't trust Google after their AI debacle, I headed over to the good old DuckDuckGo,
Hmm.
and I just typed in cities in US are turning recreation centers to migrant housing. And holy fuck, there are more than what's in the headlines on the Instagram. I mean, Massachusetts turns recreational plex into shelter. Denver closes shelters to help with migrants. Chicago moves thousands of migrants from shelters into homes. New York City using Brooklyn parks its migrant housing. New York City turns school gyms to
I
house
was gonna say
migrants,
schools.
and they're housing them in airports.
That's
It's
wild,
like
bro.
it's fucking wild, dude. And this has been going on for 3 fucking years, dude. And I don't understand. I don't know if you saw the press conference with that mayor from the Georgia
Georgia?
town.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did. Yes, I did.
dude. Okay. It's 2024. It's 2024. Right. So Riley Larkin, or Larkin Riley, I think is her name.
Larkin
Right.
Riley, yeah.
Larkin Riley
Yeah.
was brutally raped and murdered on the UGA campus. And this fucking guy, this he was the mayor, right?
Yes.
What goes on there and tries to blame this. migrant crisis on a 2019 thing on Trump.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
A guy that
Our
hasn't been in office for fucking 4 years, bro.
Yeah. So aside from the obvious, you know, invasion, because that's what it is. It's an invasion. Uh,
100%. There was actually somebody that yelled that in the crowd when that guy was trying to
yeah,
say
that's what
that
he
it
said.
didn't
Yeah, it
have
was.
anything to do with migrants.
Yeah, this is an invasion, and I said it on our first show. Um, uh, they're saying the number is somewhere around between 7 and 12 million. The real number is between 20 and 25 million,
Yeah.
and undocumented people in this country that we don't know who their allegiances are to.
Yeah.
And that Instagram video made its rounds on Instagram with that guy who was at the border saying, "You don't know who I am, but you'll find out soon."
Yeah.
He ended up being a high-ranking terrorist, and and these are the people that are coming into our country, and not only are they committing crimes before they get here, they're committing crimes after they get here. They're being let go, and they're committing more crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much more of this needs to happen before people realize that not all wars are fought with guns and bullets and nuclear weapons. You know, there is something called the demoralization of America or demoralization of a country, and everyone should know about it because we do this. This is how we do coups in other countries. This is how we turned Ukraine into a country.
Yeah.
We demoralize Western Russians into believing some sort of propaganda scheme and turn that shit and put in a puppet to run that country, who is now Zelensky, who's running it now. It's like, this
How did
is
he ever become the president of that
Obama.
country? That like
Obama.
that to me is like, dude, this guy was a fucking comedian.
It was a Bolshevik revolution. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but it was pretty much like the Weimar Republic, where a bunch of shady shit was happening and communist this and communist that, and they took over. And I believe when Russia fell, the communists had to go somewhere, so they
Mm.
congregated. I believe the Bolshevik revolution was about communism and bringing back communism, and then in 2012, I don't know the year, but it was whenever the year Zelensky got in,
Mm-hmm.
there was a coup to get him elected. And then as soon as he was elected, he imprisoned all of his competitors.
It's like, fuck it. Let's just throw them all in jail.
Yeah. Kind of what they're
That's
doing here.
wild,
I
bro.
mean, kind of what
Yeah.
they're doing now, and it's
Well, yeah.
not to get not to get
With
too
what?
far off topic, but I mean, that's what they're doing to Trump right now
Oh,
is
100%.
but
Dude, they're getting ready to throw. They're getting ready to throw the book at Miss Fanny.
hope so, because that
Yeah.
at least throws one freaking case out.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that another time, because that's a
Yeah.
good one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we were supposed to go somewhere tonight, and now she doesn't want to go.
Uh-oh.
It's all good.
Are you in trouble?
Oh no, no,
Yeah.
it's stormy outside, and we're going to Salt Lake tomorrow, so she just
Oh.
wants to hunker down. But aside from all that stuff, there seems to be no resolution for this migrant crisis. And on top of throwing it and blaming it all on Trump, they're also now blaming it on Congress.
Yeah.
You know, somehow it's Congress's fault that
Yeah.
Biden signed an executive order dismantling the Title 49,
Title
Title
42.
42, Title
Yeah.
42. You know, and somebody I was, I'm doing a lot of research on this, and I was going through a whole bunch of immigrant stuff, and somebody on an Instagram post said that under Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, it was the all-time lowest immigrant crossings of all time for any president.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Is that even true? I'm pretty sure it was Trump, right? Like, how do you have
Well,
lower
well,
numbers than
They called Obama deporter in chief.
Yeah, oh, that's right. He deported more. He
Yeah.
deported more.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so maybe that was true. But
Yeah.
but the way that they were saying it, the way that they were saying it, they were insinuating that the invasion that's going on now was Trump's fault.
It's Trump's fault.
Yeah, because they're like, well,
Although the numbers during the time of when he was in office were significantly lower, although they say that statistically Obama did deport more people, but the numbers were historically low during Trump's tenure as president.
right,
So,
and that's what I thought.
yeah,
But it's just it's crazy to see. Like I said, if you just Google or DuckDuckGo, I guess, cities in the U.S. are turning recreation centers to migrant housing. I mean, you have story after story after story, and everyone's reporting on it.
yeah,
Everyone, look, NPR, like they're a left leaning organization, and they're like major cities are struggling to house large number of migrants. Like,
yeah,
is that the story? Should that be the headline? Or should it be saying a surge at the border is causing crisis in America?
yeah.
Like major cities are struggling to house. Why are we struggling to house them? Is my question.
Well, and that's the problem, dude. Is it's like why is this something that like we're having to as Americans we're having to resort to finding alternatives to house people that shouldn't be here in the first place.
Right. And
Like,
that fucking that New York mayor
bro,
who was it was like $52 million or something like that.
yeah, dude, they were giving these people like housing, 6 months free rent, and then like a credit card that had like a $10,000 limit on it.
And
Like,
who's
why?
paying? Yeah.
And then they're not asking for any documentation to like help prevent fraud or anything like that, which is
Well, I
fucking
mean,
wild to me.
to be fair, if they had documentation, they wouldn't be undocumented.
Well, well, no, like I mean, in the sense like they could just walk, like, bro, we could fly up to New York right now and just, no English, and
Hey, you know what? We probably could.
I mean, it's
I
tempting,
mean, look at the way we look. Like, hey, I can use 10 grand, right?
bro.
Hey, $20 is $20, brother.
Yeah, that's why like it's just wild to me, dude. Like just because now you got the mayor in Chicago that he's pretty much okaying the fact that now he's had to accept, okay, well, they're bringing these people to Chicago, and now he's bending the knee and is allowing these people to come into the state and into the cities. And it's like, dude, do you know how fucking fed up people are? Like, okay, just to touch base on this, when people from the cities in Chicago and like the black community, when they're coming out and they elected your ass, bro,
Yeah.
and they're coming forth to speak to your ass and tell you that they're not gonna fucking put up with it. Like, what does that say? Like, we cannot continue as America when we're allowing this shit to happen. I mean, like, if you need fucking help, dude, like you gotta go somewhere else. Like, you have to. Like
You should.
the influx that we're receiving at the fucking border on a daily basis is just crazy. It's fucking crazy, man.
I'm trying to
And
read the Chicago Tribune right now on that.
yeah,
So it says that the state, county, and city officials project $321 million is needed to keep the migrant operation afloat to the end of this year.
And where are they going to get that money?
Not only why
Where?
the fuck why first of all, who even did that math? First of all, like, and why even do the math? You wasted taxpayer money to do that math. I could save you $321 million. Actually, it'll probably cost about 5 million to send them all back. So I'm gonna save you $316 million. Send them all back to fucking Mexico.
And that's like the reason why it's not being looked at as an option is because the Democratic Party is so shook right now, and it's all, dude, it's all political ploy. Like it's all
Yeah,
it is, because they're banking on them being able to vote. That's like purely
100%.
like that's what it is. They're banking on them to be able to vote, to be able to vote and try to get Biden back in the office, or whatever Democratic nominee, which pretty much is looking like
It's
it's going to be
it's
Biden.
the only way he's gonna win. No, it's gonna be
I'll
Michelle
tell you right
Obama.
now, like dude, like
You
a
want to put
lot.
money on it? I bet you $50 Michelle Obama's going to be the candidate.
I wouldn't doubt it. Like
Nope.
I wouldn't be willing to bet on that, because it is very much a possibility. But what I will say is a lot of states that Biden won last year, or in 2020, there's going to be a lot of swing states, dude, that are going to be turning red, and Michigan is going to be one of them.
Fuck.
And you
I wish I'd
and
saved this map. There was a map. It's basically calling out people for. It was talking about. Basically, it was saying that it was a meme, right? And it had all these states that were
yeah,
that either tried to take him off the ballot, Trump off the ballot, or were
yeah,
in the process of taking him off the ballot, or had failed to take him off the ballot, or who had succeeded and it's under appeal.
yeah.
And the headline read, "It's weird that you're doing something that's not democratic in order to protect democracy." Like,
Yeah.
like
Not giving them the opportunity to be able to vote for the candidate that they want to.
right, and like,
That's fucking
so
wild.
it for it's in all these cases, I I think the Georgia one was probably the only one that was like a federal case. All the other
Yeah,
cases are civil cases. They're not criminal
yeah.
cases.
That's
Like
what
they're
that's why I said, dude. I was like, there's no way, like, no matter how hard they're trying to get him hung up. At the end of the day, dude, like, the one that was criminal is about to get fucking thrown out because of a fucking poor ass DA that was sleeping with a married man, and then elected him, or then chose him to be the lead prosecutor. And dude, this guy was a real estate attorney, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. And you're gonna put him at the point of a criminal investigation, a federal criminal investigation.
yeah, it's
Like,
fucking gnarly.
yeah. So yeah,
But
but
yeah, back to
it's
immigrants. Back to immigrants. Go home.
yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know, and it's like I said. Look, right? We have borders for a reason. You know, Charlie Kirk likes to say borders differentiate where good ideas start and where bad ideas end. Right? Um, and I actually saw another post today. I should have saved it. And it's this immigrant. And, you know, she's I think first generation American or something, and she's talking about uh mixed races or whatever, about being more diverse or whatever. And the dude was like, I feel you are literally belittling me as a white man and saying that my ancestors. Oh, she said the founding fathers didn't find this country for her. And he's like, first of all, I have something to say about that outside of what this post said. Um, they could have very easily wrote, right, things that were very race or color specific. They could have.
mm,
They very well could have. Yes, a lot of the founding fathers owned slaves. That was the rule, not the
it was
exception.
legal at the time.
Yeah, it was the rule, not the exception, right? We didn't invent slavery. We just carried it on. Our country was founded during a time where slavery was the rule.
Yeah.
Within 100 years of our country being founded, we had eliminated slavery. And then 100 years after that, we had made leaps and bounds into integration, right? And what he said to this woman was this country was founded on individuality, right? That's what country was founded on. And what he said is it's a smack in the face to him and his ancestors to for people from other countries to try to turn this country into that country that they left.
Yeah.
And I agreed with that. And it's like, dude, that is why people come here. They come here to escape the horrors that they have at home. Every single person, every single legal immigrant who's gone through the immigration process has come to this country because it is the land of the free, the home of the brave, and you could thrive and prosper here, right? The white picket fence, the American dream. That's what they come here for. Granted, it's a little bit harder to get that now, but it's still accessible.
Yeah.
I know Bidenomics is killing everybody out there, but it is accessible. And then you get the right person running the country, and it's very accessible. And
Yeah.
that's why they come. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why they come here. And
Yeah.
for people to come here and for expect us to be the country that they left is insulting. It's insulting to every single fucking person that was born in this country and every single person that came here legally. It's a disrespect.
Yeah.
And all these 20 these 20s tens of millions of illegal immigrants that have come here are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to soil the fabric of the American culture. That is why they're here, and
Yeah.
they're doing a bang up fucking job. The only problem is just like the COVID, is that more people are standing up to their nonsense than what they thought would. After COVID, they needed something completely different. And what did they do? They went to people's morality. And that's the game that they're playing right now. And that's why all these liberal mayors and governors of these cities and states, that's why they're bending the knee, because it's reelection year. And how do you win reelections? You win them on emotion. And what's the biggest emotion you can put on somebody? Let's help everyone, right? You seem like a fucking tyrant if you don't want people invading your country.
Yeah.
So they're playing
No.
once again,
And
they're playing on people's emotions.
yeah, 100%. And that's what they do. Like, and dude, there was a video that I watched. I think this video probably came out like 6, 7 years ago, maybe even longer than that. But it's a guy. Have you ever seen the gumball experiment?
No.
So he takes he references uh it's a glass cylinder, and he's got like five fucking things, like little storage containers full of gumballs. And he talks about how regardless of how many immigrants we take into this country to help, starve world starvation and problems that they have in their countries, we will never be able to bring in enough of those immigrants from those countries to help those countries positively, because that's supposed to be the idea
Yeah.
is, oh, well, we bring them here, get them an education, and then they go back to their country to help their country. But it's like, dude, we're taking from like the 1%, and this is legal immigration,
Yeah.
but not even taking into account the ones that are coming in here illegally. So it's like all we're doing is fucking up our ecosystem and our economy, dude. Like, because
Yeah.
there are too
All
many
all for
people.
what? All for
Yeah,
what? To have this moral high ground to say
and that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
shit, bud.
And it's like, for people to, oh, well, they're seeking asylum, and they're doing this, and we're trying to help them, but okay, but at what cost?
Yeah.
What
That's
cost?
exactly it. What's the cost? Um and What is Thomas Sowell, right? I believe that's his name.
Give me 1 second. Is that Thomas Sowell?
Sowell. It's the Thomas Sowell 3 questions. So the 3 questions that you ask is compared to what, right? Compared to what? The second is at what cost? And the third is what evidence do you have? So compared to what, right? Why do we need to let them all in here? Like compared to what? If we're comparing country to country, the only other country that's letting people in, opening the doors is Europe. And look how bad they're fucking doing, right?
Yeah,
At what cost? At what cost? It's costing the American taxpayer billions of dollars
yeah,
throughout the whole country. And the third, what evidence do you have that it actually helps these people?
yeah.
So far, we have no evidence that it helps anyone. Right
It
now,
doesn't.
the evidence actually shows the opposite, and that it's destroying us.
Yeah, and that's what I say, dude. It's like it literally it literally wrecks our economy and the homeostasis of this country. I mean, like, dude, it's like what's the best comparison that I could say? It's like having a fucking 5 gallon bucket and you know you already got you know fucking 5 or 6 good sized fucking bass in there, and then somebody comes and just dumps a shitload of minnows into that five
Yeah.
gallon bucket, and you know you're getting quantity of a shit ton of people into an already well maintained fucking country. Like, I mean, and even still, you could argue the fact that you know we're not well maintained at the moment anyway.
No, we're
It's
not
only
well
gotten
maintained.
worse.
Yeah. It's definitely gotten worse.
Yeah,
So like when you apply those 3 questions, it's it's pretty much fucking shit. Like
yeah,
we're on the losing end. We are losing.
hmm
So like, and for why?
yeah. It's literally just like you said. It's to have that moral high ground that we so desperately crave.
Hey, are you able to stitch 2 meetings together?
Uh,
Because we might have to pop out of here and pop back on.
Possibly.
All right. Well, let's try it.
Okay.
All right. We'll come back and we'll do your topic.
Okay. I mean,
All right.
mine's like completely fucking. It's not above the fold, but I mean,
Well, I mean,
it
nothing
is interesting.
uh, outside of economics and the politics and culture, economics, politics, and culture. Those are the top 3, always and will forever be above the fold,
Yeah,
right? Some of these things have to do with, you know, immigration has to do with economics as well as culture and politics. So
yeah.
it's not necessarily the small topics that we're talking about. I mean, these are encompassed in the big topics. But all right, well, let's pop out of here real quick and we'll reset.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I'll go ahead and
All
I'll
right. We had
just
to
kick
pop
this
off
off.
and well, it's lost. Refill drinks. Cheers.
Yes. Yes. Salute.
Salute. Drinking skulls over there. Anywho. All right. So we were kind of done on my topic. It was about, it's about this just mass everyone's talking about it now, so it's not really like my topic, but it's just, you know, we need to be more aggressive, right? We have boundaries and borders for a fucking reason.
Indeed.
These people that are coming, the people that are coming here illegally, don't care about our way of life.
No,
It's
not
clear.
at all.
It's clear that they don't. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all these fucking crime spikes in all these cities, on all these sanctuary cities. That
Yeah, that they like to identify themselves as.
yeah, but as soon as you start getting busfuls of fucking violent migrants, now you're talking shit about everybody else. Come on,
Yeah, talking
where's your
shit,
bleed?
talking shit about the governor of Texas because
Yeah, where's
you
your
know,
bleeding heart at?
yeah, yeah. Want to
Hope
call him every name under the fucking sun, and all the meanwhile, do I think it was a political tactic? That does make a lot of sense, but also at the same time, when's enough enough?
yeah. To be completely honest, dude, he should have started sending them back to fucking Mexico from the very, very fucking beginning. It's funny.
I agree.
It's funny, and it's a big fuck you. It's like, oh, you're a sanctuary city? Cool. Let's fucking send them to Martha's Vineyard. I get it, but like, did you vet them? Do you know they're nonviolent? Do you know their history? Do you know
Yeah.
their intention? Do you know why they're here? Oh, you don't? Okay, but you shipped them to Chicago, LA, New York, Martha's Vineyard. You're shipping them all across into the hearts of our cities, and you don't know what their purpose is, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
know, and now he's leaning. He's having all these press conferences and leaning on the Constitution. It's within our constitutional rights for the state to protect its borders. 4 years fucking late, bud.
Yeah.
Four
No,
years
I
fucking late.
agree. I agree with you there. And like I said, I think that it's like I think he knew. Like, I mean, obviously, you gotta know that it's a fucking problem, but
Yeah.
you know, to to wait this long, it's like fucking day late, dollar short, dude. And
100%, man.
you know, all and I will say, I do like Abbott, like I like a lot of his policies, but you know, to dwindle in the political fucking pander, and and you're just and just like you said, it's a big fuck you. That's really all that it was. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
And
open borders.
yeah, but it was a big fuck you at the expense of the American taxpayer.
Yeah, no, for
You know,
sure.
you know what word I love? What word or what phrase I love is government funded program.
Mm,
Because if they told you it was taxpayer funded, then people would be like, nah, I don't want to pay for that shit.
yeah,
You know,
dude, have
there's
you
a
ever heard
there's
of that fucking clown, Roland Martin?
Roland Martin. No.
Yeah, he's like super super left leaning Democrat, and he taught like he talks about. Have you ever watched the PBD podcast?
No.
Okay, well, this dude he's an immigrant from Iran, and like dude's made his fucking chunk of change and shit, like being outside of the military and shit. But it talks about that play on words is like, which like that was my point, was they talk about government funded programs, but it's at the taxpayer's expense. It's a fucking play on words.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's what politics is. Politics is word games.
yeah.
You know, you don't have the only thing you have to be good at in politics is sleight of hand. That's the only thing you have to be good at in politics is you have to be able to get people to look one way while you do something over there. And the best way to do that is word games,
Oh
right?
yeah.
That's why we're in this transgender thing right now because it's the biggest word game out there. It's literally a word game. Like what do you feel like you are today? Let's
Yeah.
fucking pick a word out of this hat. It's word games. And me, I have a degree in marketing. So like it has a history in psychology and like you learn a lot of that stuff. And it's like if people just stopped and instead of listening to respond, started listening to listen to what these people are actually saying,
Yeah.
they'll understand a lot more. Last week we talked shit about Umar. What's his touch?
Umar Johnson.
I actually saw a clip today, and I wanted to send it to you, and I don't know why I didn't, but I 100% agreed with him. Every fucking word out of his mouth.
uh,
He was basically talking that black people don't vote on they don't vote on information. They vote on feeling. He said
oh yeah, dude.
every
No,
single
yeah,
election.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are some things that dude does say that I'm like, all right, like I agree with you. I don't like what you stand for, but I do agree with you. And like a statement like that, dude, yeah, for sure. Just like
Yeah,
when he was talking about like, how people discipline their kids and how every time that a child gets in trouble, like they don't need to get their ass whooped, for a misstep. And like, when it comes to sensible shit like that, like, yeah, dude, like he's usually spot on. The only thing that I didn't like was when he started talking about like, you know, how black people should only date black people and white people should only like you should date within your community is pretty much what he tries to imply. But he's like fucking he's militant about that shit. And I just don't care for him
yeah, and
because of that.
there's a word for that. It's called racism. Called segregation. We
hmm
tried that, bud. We grew up from that. If you want to date only black people, move to where there are only black people, and that's the
Yeah.
only option.
Yeah.
Because it's just dumb. We talked
But
about it
it's
last
funny
time.
though
It's just
because this
dumb.
fucking guy's not even fucking. He's not even married, which is hilarious.
Well, not even that he's married. He's how many times removed? Like, we talked about it last time. How many times removed is he from being African? A lot.
Too fucking many
Yeah.
to still have that perspective.
All right. To close, migrants suck. And if you don't come here in the right way, go the fuck back where you came from, or they should be put in front of a firing squad if you commit a violent crime. That's how you get them to stop committing violent crimes.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, go ahead and dive into my topic.
Whose
So
topic? Your boyfriend? Ha.
those are for other podcasts. Uh, no. So are you familiar or have you heard of the
No, I'm good.
Rashat the Rashat structures?
No, do I need to look this up?
I would recommend it. Just to kind of give you a
Hold on.
touch of what it is that I'm getting ready to dive into because bro,
Uh,
it's
hold on. Spell it for me.
RACHAT structures.
RACHAT.
Yes, they are in Eastern Africa, I believe. Because dude, I've
Oh,
been
we talking about some lost city of Atlanta shit.
bro. So dude, like I've been diving down a little bit of a rabbit hole like the last like 10 days.
Hey, have you
And
watched Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix?
I have not.
You need to watch it.
Does it have to do with this?
It's about the Younger Dryas theory. So
Yes,
get
yes, dude. This touches
yeah.
like
All
mainly
right, so
on that.
yeah, so I don't know what this is, but yeah, the Younger Dryas theory is that 12,000 years ago there was a flood,
It
right?
was a great. It was they call it. There another term is they call it like the Great Reset.
Yeah.
And
And it basically the flood about Moses, who his name wasn't Moses, by the way, it was Unapishtim. Because we didn't have white names or Mexican names in the Middle East. But anyway,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so they believe that life started in Mesopotamia, right? The two rivers,
Hmm.
and what sea is that? Black Sea, I believe, like the tip of the Black Sea, where the
Hmm.
Euphrates, the Tigris, and the other two rivers are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
we're
there's
ancient.
actually like four rivers.
Yeah, there's actually four rivers, which is, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, so this area would flood and recede, flood and recede, flood and recede. And as it did that, they found these texts, deep buried deep down. That was probably around 3000 BC. Um,
Uh-huh.
actually, they've actually changed that. Did you know that?
Yeah,
It's not
dude.
B.
Well, because of like the more information that is coming out.
No, no,
Because
no,
so
no. I'm talking about BC. Like, we live in AD,
yes,
and before AD was BC. It was before Christ, and
yes,
always that Latin word for after death.
yeah.
It's not that anymore. It's CE and BCE. CE, yeah, I know. I had to look it up because I've been doing a lot of research on the Bible,
Yeah.
and uh CE is common era, the era that we live in now, and
Okay.
BC is the before common era.
Okay.
So you go back, 2024 years ago, everything before that is BCE, before common era.
Okay.
So right now we're in the common era, which is weird because, like, when you start moving things away from the center of God, they start collapsing. Roman Empire, Constantinople, all those empires fall. And I'm not saying they're like, anyway, we'll get on that topic another day. But anyway,
Yeah. So
uh,
this is like it kind of touches base on like the shit that you're talking about. So like the Rashad structure is believed to be where or is the lost city of Atlantis. So it was made up of five circles. Two were sea, and five or in three um were land. So it was believed to have been made up of 10 different kingdoms. This was civilization at the time. But the flood is what fucking completely destroyed these kingdoms. And there's evidence that the theory is that Atlas was the actual king, like the king of kings during this time. And the evidence that shows is the way that the flood happened when it took place, and the way that they're able to corroborate that is because those Rashad structures, those circles, they're sediment of salt that said, and that indicates that there was a flood because at that time the
what's the
theory
elevation of
is
what's the elevation there?
in Eastern Africa. Fuck, I mean, I don't know, but the theory is that at one point in time the Sahara Desert was
Yeah.
like tropics.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're familiar with Chad or Lake Chad. They say so. This lake at the time when it was believed to have been there is like 94,000 miles. It's considered to be the biggest lake known in history. And if you were to take all of the lakes in the United States, Lake Chad could fit all of that space within itself because of how fucking huge it was.
Jeez.
So to go on, the Younger Dryas theory is what was the big reset. But
Yeah.
there is also the theory that within the city of Atlantis, like because these were all supreme beings, is what the theory is, because of the fact that they were able to manipulate frequency, energy, and use it to move things. And that's where the play comes into the pyramids,
Yeah.
and that the fact that the stone that was used was actually not common to that area at the time.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of things. And so, all right, I want you to start binging on the Ancient Apocalypse. And he was also on. He did a Joe Rogan podcast too. So
Jimmy
I think
Corsetti.
no, Graham Hancock.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So Jimmy Corsetti actually, he's a little bit younger than Graham Hancock, but he does that same study. Like they both have been studying this. Like Graham
Well,
Hancock doesn't necessarily believe in the city of Atlantis, but
he
he
doesn't.
does.
He doesn't not believe in it.
Yes, that's
But
exactly.
so his theory, right, is the Younger Dryas theory is right. 12,000 years ago, this cataclysmic event is how Graham says it happens, and it's there's evidence all across the world that this happened. That
100%.
that waters rose. Dude, he goes on the coast of Florida, and I think it's Key West or something, and there is roads, ancient roads underwater. It's like the second or third episode. Uh,
Yeah.
but uh, there is a structure in Turkey called Gib. I think it's Gib Leoteki. I don't know how to spell it. Fucking Giblioteki. It's like the first episode of his show.
Yeah.
So it's a megalithic structure, and I think they have a third of it uncovered.
Uh-huh.
And the third that they have uncovered is I believe, I don't know if it's the oldest or newest. It's one of the two. It's either the oldest, no, the parts that are still buried are lower and they're older. So the parts that they have unburied, because it was so well preserved,
Uh-huh.
first of all, they're like etched. This is like, and there's like animals carved into rocks,
Yeah.
right? And they're precision laser cut. And obviously there's wear on them and shit,
Yeah.
but they were so preserved that they were able to carbon date the soil around it,
Yeah.
and it carbon dated 12,000 years ago. So the argument of life starting in Sumer is that, before we started writing, right? Because that's when we judge us being who we are now, is when we started documenting things,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, that's
weird
that's
because
that's why archaeologists, dude, like that's why they never have really looked into this theory because they only date back as far as when mankind was really active.
yeah,
Like that, and they don't try to go back any further than that, which is
yeah,
stupid. But
which is weird because a lot of the Great Pyramids are older than that,
yeah, way older, dude.
and
And they try to make the argument that first of all, the first theory was that they were built by slaves,
yeah,
which that ain't fucking happening. There's no way. These stones are eighty
there wasn't
thousand pounds, dude.
there
Like
wasn't
there's
enough
no
slaves. Like you would
no
have to have more slaves today, even though we have more slaves than ever in history. You'd have to have more slaves than that to be able to build structures like that. And not only
one
that, but
hundred percent.
we don't have now the equipment big enough to move those blocks.
No, dude, they had to they
So
had to they had to build a trailer big enough to even move a stone that was supposedly carbon dated. You can't really carbon date stone though. Like
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
possible.
it's not the
But
stone that they're carbonating. They're carbonating the if it's been laying there and it looks like it's been laying there, they can carbon date the organic material around it, the soil around it.
yeah,
So, but you know,
yeah,
but I no, I get what you're saying, and that's what so Graham Hancock talks about the Younger Dryas theory, and like, so if you put our start date around 3000 BC, we started writing stuff down, right? Um, it doesn't put enough time in between then and now to be able to create the technology to build the things that have been built. Like the Sphinx the Sphinx they believe is even older than what it actually is, and I believe. Let me see. So, just a quick Google search. So they believe that the Sphinx is about 45,000 years old. Yeah, 4,500. I'm sorry. So around 2,500 BC is when they believe, or is when we were told that it was um, built. But Hancock argues that the face, first of all, the face is recut because they were so perfect in everything else, but they made the Sphinx head smaller than the rest of his body. It's unproportionate. So what they believe is that there was a time of heavy rains where it was actually beat up and maybe even submerged underwater where it sustained a lot of damage. And then around 2,500 BC, they redid it. They redid the
Yeah,
face, not the rest of it. And there's actually a lot of archaeologists that actually agree with a lot of the damage that has been done to the Sphinx as water damage,
yeah,
specific water damage,
yes,
and like underwater damage, because the currents, and they do a lot more
yep,
damage being underwater than, obviously we have the Grand Canyon, right? It carves through shit.
yeah,
And but if you think about that, the Younger Dryas theory, so now that puts us at 12,000 years, so that puts us at 10,000 BC. So 8,000 years before the Sphinx was built, right? Now, but that's when we are carbon dating the carbon at the base of Ghibli Teki, and there's
yeah,
there's still other levels.
yeah,
So now you're talking maybe another 5 to 10,000 years ago. So now
yeah.
you're talking so now you're talking 10,000 BC, maybe 15,000 BC, maybe
Way back, way
now
back.
even 20,000 BC. So now you're talking about 22,000 years.
Yeah,
22,000 years of us being disintelligent and being able to make these megalithic structures. So now you're able to fit in a lost civilization like Atlantis.
100%. Well, and,
Because
and and you have to think, what were they using to move these structures that were so fucking massive? What were they using?
right, and I mean, look at Stonehenge. Stonehenge, the quarry for Stonehenge is how many miles away?
Far as fuck. It's like 500
Yeah,
miles.
the quarry for the stones that were made for the pyramids of Giza,
We're like
hundreds
500
of
miles
miles.
away. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
500 miles.
and they actually, I think that it's actually in the TV series where they take like a proportionate size. It's not an actual stone. It's not actually like one of the stones from the pyramid, but they put it on a flatbed and just wrecks it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Just
because they
wrecks it.
tried they tried to move it, bro, and it was too fucking heavy. So that's where the question comes in. Okay, well, there's no way that you could get enough people to pull that stone without damaging it, by the way. How is
Yeah.
it that you got that to move? And that's where that it comes into play, that they had figured out how to manipulate frequency to get things to move. And like, it was on an astronomical level that we couldn't even describe.
I mean, that being said, devil's advocate here. Uh there is a guy, there is a guy it's on YouTube. I'm actually watching it right now. And he did conduct he was able to make, I don't know how big that stone is. It's pretty fucking. So one man proves massive stones weights can be moved without machinery by building his own Stonehenge moving blocks. I mean, he builds stuff to actually move these blocks. So like it's kind of feasible, right? There are ways, right? It's like pivots and all this stuff. And the Egyptians were phenomenal at freaking math, right? That's if you're just good at geometry and mathematics,
Mathematics?
mathematicians is the word I was looking for. And you're a really good mathematician. You could figure out like the center of gravity and all that stuff. I mean,
But to be able to build, but to
well,
be
hold
able
on.
to,
But what I was going to say is, like, how long did it take us to figure out calculus? You know, it took us being on this planet for a pretty long time, at least from our what we thought was our recorded history from 3000 BC, right?
yeah,
From 3000 or 2000 BC. So 3000 years ago. Yeah, so 2000 BC. Um, right? And it was I don't know, I don't know what hundreds it was, but it was in the Roman times when they figured out calculus. And but we would already be on the planet for 1,000 years, 2,000 years, or 1,000 years, 1,100 years, at least before we figured that out.
yeah,
So, how long were we on the planet before we figured out like if you just put a freaking pebble in this one spot, it'll just crush this big rock?
yeah. I mean, I get the gist, but bro,
Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here,
yeah,
but I mean, to be fair, I'm on the same train as you. It's like when I started watching this, when I listened to that podcast, I was like, this motherfucker, dude.
bro,
Like
yeah.
somebody protect him. He's going
Well,
to die.
dude, well, and then there was a guy that was on when Graham Hancock was there as well, and he actually ended up coming back on Rogan's podcast as well. But just put it this way, Mazda put $25 million into a project to be able to or to invest in the science and to try to create a car that is capable of moving on the frequencies of sound as well um as just into the
That-
science in general.
That's legit as fuck, bro. Where'd you read that at? I want to read that shit.
No, dude, it was on that same episode where Graham Hancock was on there. It was the
No,
guy with the big ass, huh?
Graham Hancock was on by himself.
Oh well, there was another episode.
It was he was just on there. It was
Oh,
earlier
okay.
this year. He was on there again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, this one
But
this one that I was talking about was like from like 2 years ago.
oh, bro, that sounds dope as fuck. They can run cars on water, right? They killed
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
last.
I've seen that.
They killed the last two
They end
guys
up
who
like
figured that out.
they arrested the guy that fucking did that, Didn't they?
That killed
Or they're
them. No, they were both suicides.
mm,
The one guy, the one guy was he went out to eat and then he was having a heart attack or something, and he yelled out, he screamed out, "They poisoned me!" And then he fell out dead. That's not a
yeah.
lie. That's
No,
not a lie.
I believe it. I believe it. Mhm.
I don't remember how the other guy died, but I don't know if it was the first or second guy, but he was definitely eating out somewhere and he fell over dead. And right before he died, he screamed out, "They poisoned me!"
Must
And
have
that's
been a
because
Chili's.
he was trying to shout out to Chili's. Oh my god, I need to have tequila every time we do these. Oh, no, that'll
Yeah,
turn
man.
into
Look.
like a 4-hour podcast, dude. But no, dude, that's rat shit, dude. And I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to look into that stuff because that's
Well, the fact, just put it this way, the fact that any tech company, car company, whatever you want to say, if they're willing to put money into a theory, more or less, I mean, that to me speaks leaps and fucking bounds, bro. Like
Oh
that
yeah.
a company is willing to put that kind of money into a project that they're not even really sure it'll pan out. Like, but just that in itself, man, like that's pretty fucking cool. And like I said, it's I took a deep dive down this rabbit hole. I mean, like there's still more shit that like I want to look into with this, with this theory and this idea. But
Well, if you're gonna
fuck.
if you're gonna jump down the rabbit hole, you have to do Ancient Apocalypse with
Oh yeah,
Graham
no,
Hancock.
for sure.
You got to
I
do
would
that.
I would definitely be putting that in my queue of shit to
So
watch.
I'm actually looking at this, and hold on. It says there's a few of them. Is it a few of them or just one of them?
What?
The how do you say that? Reshot,
Rashad?
Reshot structure.
Yeah.
I guess that maybe there was only one.
Well, yeah,
Oh yeah, the mountains of
it's
Sahara Desert.
yep.
So I looked at it. I gotta look to see where it is actually on the map, but it's
It's
fifteen
like Eastern
hundred.
Africa.
It's like 1,500 feet above ground.
Hmm.
Um, Let me look at my maps. Hold on. They call it the Eye of Africa.
Hmm.
Here, let me share my screen real quick. Because I mean, it kind of checks out
Yeah,
of what's the Younger Dryas theory.
one hundred
Because
percent, dude.
let's share screen, motherfucker.
Like because it's wild, bro. Because they're like perfect circles.
Yeah, right. So there it is. And that's pretty bad. Look, it's an eye. That's
Yeah,
gnarly.
yeah,
So
bro.
little eye. So it's pretty far inland.
Yeah,
It's pretty far inland. When you think about
or
it, like, dude,
Western
all
Africa or Western Africa. Whoops.
that was all underwater at one point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least, so let's see. So Gibli Ateki is in Turkey. I said Turkey, right?
Yeah. But that's what
Fuck.
I'm saying, though, dude. So it's like that theory 100% checks out, dude.
Yeah, it does. And it's like he's getting shunned for so this is how far inland Turkey is
Yeah, bro.
from that. So that's the eye right there.
Yeah.
And Turkey's there. And Gibli Ateki, I believe, went underwater too. So like, bro, like this much of the world was underwater.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that, and people just, you know, whatever. People are fucking weird, dude. They need their small little safety blankets and whatever they're the shatter of truth, man. Did you
Yep.
ever hear that? It's I forgot what show it was on. It was on How I Met Your Mother.
Uh-huh.
When they tell each other their pet peeve about one another, they
Uh-huh.
don't know that it is. Like gosh, what's the married couple's name? Been so long. Anyway, so they would say like, "Hey, you eat with your mouth open," and like a glass shatters, and now every time they eat with their mouth open, they all they hear is their freaking significant other yelling at them. It's like, when are people's glass gonna shatter and realize that we don't know as much as we think we know?
Fuck no.
Holy
That's what,
fucking shit, dude.
bro, we know what we've been told. And
Yeah, we know
and
what we've been told. You know who writes the history? The winners.
yeah, bro. But that's why
I mean, they
you
found
know,
they found human remains in southern Africa that are like 300,000 years old.
yeah,
Like you and me people, not like before us people. Like you
yeah.
and me people. Like people. Maybe it wasn't 300,000. Maybe it was like 30,000. I believe it was maybe 30,000 sounds more believable, but that's actually on Netflix too. But they're in a cave in South Africa. They found these remains that carbon date like 30,000 plus years that are Homo sapiens, not the ones before us, the Neanderthals.
Yeah.
They were, same size brain, same size structure, everything's the same 30,000 years ago, and then they want us to believe that we were hunter gatherers and that was it up until then, like low level tents, sleeping in the jungle, foraging for food. They want us to believe that we were that up until the point where all of a sudden all this shit popped up. Like
Yeah.
in a moment's
Just
notice, all
just
this shit popped up.
miraculously, like everything just is like,
Like, like what,
plush
like
rainforest. There you go.
what do you think about it like that? What do you think about it like that? Like before before 2000 or before 3000 BC, we were we were cousins to monkeys. We were
Yeah.
shitting in our hands and throwing it at our neighbor. You know, we were just hunter gatherers. No farming, no industrialization, no cities, no nothing. We lived in squalor and we were basically freelance apes.
Yeah.
Then we built castles that are older than people throwing shit.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Like when you think like in school, you're like, oh yeah, we did this, we did this. The Egyptians, we read all these books, and we're like, yeah, that's great. And then you grow up and you're like, yeah, well, all the ancient texts come from Sumer, and that was 3000 BC. So that's when we started as this people. That's when we
Yeah.
started. You're like, I don't know if that maths correctly. The the ancient pyramids are pretty fucking old, and if you're saying we were only hunter gatherers and we weren't building structures like this,
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like it's one of those situations where you look back at information like what we were just talking about, like a fucking civilization that was fully functional, fully capable, but then you want us to believe that, oh yeah, well, we were fucking stabbing and hunting and killing animals, eating them, and then we were fucking dying by 25 to 30 years old because of a terrible diet. And what corroborates that?
thing,
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. And
It's
that's
just
why
like,
that's why
are you getting paged?
no, I'm good. Um yeah, that's why I'm just like I just I've already like theorized in my head like that a majority of the shit that we got taught in school is trash.
It's
And
all trash.
and just that whole concept of the hunter gatherer theory, it's like, bro, we weren't dumb. Like, and I I really do believe I buy into this theory all day, dude. Like that.
Right? The more they're looking into it, the more people who are buying into it. That's what I was saying is like
Yeah.
there's people who are going back and looking this at the Sphinx and they're like, oh yeah, this does look like heavy rain damage and it looks a bit older than it should be. And it's a pretty compelling argument that he makes about that, at least the face. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at everything else that they did, it was so proportionate,
Yeah.
right? Everything was so proportionate. And they made this freaking Sphinx head super small. They believe it was a lion.
Yeah.
It was a lion. You know why it was a lion? Because at the time they believed that it was made, which was, I believe, 15,000 years before we believe it was made, or even further before that. It's pointed in the sign of Leo.
Mm.
So, and they do this weird thing because he actually finds a bunch of other Sirius. Sirius is the star most of the pre 3000 BC structures that he's found because he's found a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And there's ones in South America that are all pointing. They're built at different points of time, and each time they're built facing the star Sirius. So
Well,
they at certain times of the year or certain times of a cycle, um, the Sphinx is lined up with the sign of Leo, and at the time they believe it was built, which was 2500 BC, Leo's not there.
yeah,
And it was some obscene amount of time before that it actually was lined up with the sign Leo.
yeah. And see, and what's like, so you familiar with the Sumerians?
Yeah, bro. Sumer.
So there, that's like that's supposed to be
Our beginning.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's where they fight, so you ever read the Epic of Gilgamesh?
no,
Another good book. So this story was written on clay tablets that they uncovered in Sumer. That's actually where the name Unapishtim comes from. It comes from that story because
mm,
Unapishtim is he's an immortal who survived the flood. So his story, the story of Moses, actually comes from the story of Unapishtim.
so let me ask this: do you think that there is a correlation between the Holy Bible and this this newfound theory? Do you think that it's possible that Jesus Christ was spreading the word of said supreme beings?
So let me get myself in trouble here. I am not a firm believer in the prophet Jesus Christ. The story of Jesus Christ was written by people years and years after he was or was not persecuted. There's no historical evidence to prove that he was, right? There's no documentation, but there are stories, right? The Bible is the story.
Yeah,
Um, so the first four chapters of the Bible are historically, it's the Old Testament, right? The Old
yeah,
Testament was written before Jesus Christ in a time that they at the time believed was the creation of life.
yeah,
So you have to now, so now they believe that the creation, so they wrote the Bible after they uncovered a lot of these artifacts at Sumer, right? A lot of the
mm,
stories from the Bible come from Sumer and they're retellings of Egyptian mythology.
uh,
There's actually a documentary. Gosh, I have to remember the name. It talks about a lot of correlation between the pre-Christian religions and how Christianity uh kind of retells those stories in a more monotheistic uh undertone.
uh,
Which I had this conversation with Samantha the other day, and actually, so polytheism isn't actually the worship of multiple gods.
uh,
Polytheism was just the respect of me worshiping a god that differed from yours, right? So at the time of the Romans and Greeks, right, you have Zeus and Thor, and Jupiter, right, being Roman. So they had these gods, and my Jupiter, my main god, wasn't the same as your Jupiter. Like even next door neighbor gods weren't the same, right? They provided different things for that one person. And the idea was in the polytheistic world is that I respected that you saw Zeus, Apollo, Jupiter, Mercury, Aries. I respect that you saw all those different gods in a different light and you praised to one specific god. That was your thing. So when the story of Jesus Christ came around, it was, I don't respect your God. So it wasn't that he was just saying that there was only one true God. What he was saying was, I don't respect any of your other gods. When
Mm-hmm.
they were all saying, all the Romans were saying, we respect that you, I mean, I don't know if they're saying this, but they were respecting him believing in his specific God. But he was what they were calling impiety. He was committing impiety against their gods. And all
Yeah.
their gods were the same. It was just the respect. So I believe that everyone needs a story, right? If you read Maps of Meaning, Jordan Peterson goes over a bunch of the creation myths, and all of them except for Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, which are pretty much the same religion in the beginning. Every other one is about mythological creatures and uh sons sacrificing either their parent or their godparent to create the heavens and the earth and the cosmos. uh you know Odin killed his, I think it was his parents. It was a goat, no, not a cow. It was like a cow or something, but it was a giant, and a cow mated with a giant celestial being, whatever, doesn't matter. But in all the creation myths, there's this giant sacrifice, and then what we later call Christianity, which is kind of prudent to Judaism and uh, Islam because they predate Christianity. Uh, their creation myth is God created Earth, man, and all that stuff. If you stop reading after the first four chapters of the Bible, you have everything you need. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you need anything else. If you choose to believe that the universe was created in that manner, great. I think there was a little bit more that we don't understand that was involved in the creation of the universe, and um, I think it oversimplifies the process. Right? It definitely oversimplifies the process, and but we kind of need that as people.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like Noah's in the Old Testament, there was definitely a flood.
Mm-hmm.
There was evidence. There's geological evidence to show that there was a worldwide flood, and not just in this region of of the Mesopotamia where we believe life was started. There wasn't just a flood there. There was a flood everywhere. Like I told you, in ancient Apocalypse, they talk about this road in southwest or southeast Florida that's clearly a road. You could see it's constructed as a road, and it's 20, 30 feet underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take the Younger Dryas into effect, you pull it back, and you could see that this was still landmass that could have been ridden upon and all these
Yeah.
things. So yes, I do believe that the stories were taken and then put into a creation myth that people would be able to digest. So yes and no at the same time.
uh, yeah. No. Like for me, I think that there is some correlation there. Um.
But Jesus didn't talk about the flood.
No. Yeah. No. I know. The only thing that that leads me to believe was because like dude, like I mean prophesies his own death, before. I mean, at least that's the story in the Bible. Is he knew which of his disciples was gonna betray him, and
So
damn
Plato,
dog.
Plato or
What?
Socrates, Plato or Socrates, Plato. was put to death for teaching impiety. And he knew he was going to be put to death, and he couldn't argue himself out of being put to death, right?
Yeah.
Because he was put to death because he was accused of impiety. He was educating the young scholars about other gods.
Yeah.
So, but he wasn't educating them about other gods. He was teaching them to think,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and then when you get accused and you have this stigma on you and you live in a time such as these people lived, it's kind of easy to say, I may not live long. When you're like, I want, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
today, we can make a podcast and be like, I think everyone in the world is fucking dumb. They believe this really stupid thing. And because they believe this really stupid thing, they're dumb. And we could be like, we put it out there and we make money off it. You know, we're talking about a time where things were not known the way we know things now.
Yeah.
And when you put it in that context, and what you said could literally get you killed in that era
Yeah.
for, like, you have to be committed, right? Martyrs were martyrs, and they knew they were going to be martyrs. People, William Wallace was a martyr. He knew he was getting ripped the fucking apart. He knew it, and he went to battle anyway.
Yeah.
But he knew he was going to get ripped apart. He wanted freedom and freedom only. He was going against the narrative. You know, at the time, you know, Jesus Christ was going against the narrative. No, all of you are wrong for accepting each other's gods. You should only accept one God. There's only one true God. And at the same time, the Romans were saying, yes, there's only one true God, but people look at him and he has different names. Even in the Bible, God says that he goes by many names,
Yeah.
you
That's a fair
know?
point.
So, like, and that's the point I'm looking at is, and I've said this to, I actually, I've been trying to put together a faith over fear society where people who don't necessarily believe in the dogma religions of, you have to believe this one particular way. I sat down and had, conversations with Mormons and Christians alike. It was like, why does it matter what you call your God? Why does it matter? As long as you call someone who believes in the righteous and believes in virtues and believes in morality and believes that right is right and wrong is wrong, why does it matter what name you call him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
No, that makes sense.
I wear, I wear Mjolnir, I wear Thor's hammer, and I got, Valhalla and Odin's horns tattooed on my neck. Am I less of a person because, I don't necessarily pray to those gods, but I have God's symbols tattooed on me, right? These were someone's gods
Yeah.
at some point in time. And, Norse mythology predates Christianity. So they were thinking about something. They
Mm-hmm.
were giving blessings to the earth and praising, spiritual deities that they believed personified the elements. And that's really all it was, is that these prehistoric gods just personified the elements, right? Like we called the sun Apollo, and what was he in Roman? I don't know if it was in Roman, but anyway, well, like we gave the earth, we gave the wind, we gave the stars, we gave them their own gods, right? And they were champions of these domains. But there was always in every single religion, there was always one head god, right? There was Odin, there was Jupiter, there was Zeus. And I don't know what it is in Islam, but there's always one in these
Yeah.
polytheistic religions. There's always one main god, and everybody else was a lower level god, or what the Christians call saints, right?
Yeah.
Or like Roman Catholics call saints. Like Roman Catholicism is just pagan with extra steps. That's polytheism with extra steps.
Yeah.
100% all day long.
Oh,
But
well,
you
well,
know,
some food
and
for
and
thought.
And my conviction is so strong that like I believe in all of these things. Like I believe all the creation is. Why not? First of all, they're fucking fun, right? To think we could have been created in any
Yeah.
way, like some great God, the Almighty, capital G, that has snapped his fingers and turned all of this into existence. You know, I believe there's one culture where one of the main gods is Marduk, and he sacrifices his parents in like this very brutal way.
Yeah.
You have Odin who sacrifices this goat or the cow in a very brutal way. But he
Yeah.
sacrificed in every part of these sacrificed beings are being created for something. The blood is the ocean of the earth, right? The hair is the trees and the plants and all this stuff. And he creates stuff out of his intestines and his toes and his skin every piece of him has a part on the earth. It's like, damn, that is very descriptive and pretty fucking awesome that people that were living this tiny little life on this tiny little island came up with this story.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Romans and the Greeks. They made up these stories, right? Like, how is that not fucking cool? And like it, people people who are so close minded and they believe in there's only one path to salvation. Like why does my path have to be your path? How is that virtuous? How is that piety? How is that moral?
Yeah.
You're saying because I don't believe the way you believe that I'm going to be damned for that. That doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me. Because if God is love, because definition of God is love, everlasting love,
Yeah.
then as long as I believe in the God, because no matter spread out across all the different religions, there's always the God. There's always the God. In monotheistic religions, it's the only God. In polytheistic religions, it's the God, right? The head God. As long
Yeah.
as I pray to the God, why does it matter? If I take the time out of my day to pray, to be thankful for the things that I'm doing in my life, why does it matter if I call him God with capital G, or if I call him Odin's son, or if I call him Jupiter, or if I call him Marduk? And then I get caught up with Christians that they pray to Jesus Christ. That's their Lord and Savior, and they
Yeah.
worship Jesus Christ. It's like one of the Ten Commandments is thou shalt not. What is it? Thou shalt not praise false prophets.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I know Jesus Christ is a prophet, but or in your text, Jesus Christ is a prophet, but he's not the God. He's not
Yeah.
the God. If you believe in him, then God will show salvation to you. But people hang pictures of Jesus Christ, people get tattoos of Jesus Christ on the cross, people wear Jesus Christ cross, and they praise Jesus Christ, but he is not God. If anything, if all the stories have taught us, he's a demigod. He's no
Yeah.
different than Hercules. He's no different than Achilles. Like, he came down, he served a purpose, and he moved on.
Yeah.
His purpose was for you to believe in the God. If you
Yeah.
only believe in the demigod, then you miss the point.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it loses me with the whole Jesus Christ crowd.
But yeah, no, I mean it's a valid theory for sure.
Bro, I'm telling you. So I've been reading the Bible lately, and I was in Jack Donovan's group, the Order of Fire. And they're one of his requirements to get into his group is that you cannot believe one, like you can't be monotheistic and join his group. And it's great. But there's a lot of guys in there that are like Mormon, that used to be Mormon or used to be Christian and all this stuff. And they're kind of lost. And they're lost because of these same arguments, right?
Yeah.
It's like, these super dogmatic people who come in and they're pushing for this type of religion. And um they're finding in this group is that, it's okay. And that's what I found in that group. Is that I wasn't psycho for not, you know, believing in this one way. And actually I feel more enlightened and I feel more connected knowing more like 20 stories of creation rather than just one.
Yeah.
If you read Maps of Meaning, it's somewhere like 2 or 3 hours in where he goes over a ton of the creation myths, a ton of them.
Yeah.
And like you're listening to him, and Jordan Peterson isn't like a devout Christian. He's like his theory is why not believe in all the gods?
Mm,
Like if you believe in at least one, you're doing better than most.
yeah. So
But yeah, that
it's
fucking that Eye of Africa thing is pretty cool. I don't know how we got on God, but
oh shit. Well, let's go ahead and let's fucking get into this 3 questions, 3 minutes fucking segment. And
oh, all right. I forgot we were
um
doing this.
I mean it's gonna be on a lighter note, just because I didn't
Hold
really
on.
have fucking much.
Hold on. Because this is your segment, are you going to do the questions every time?
Yeah.
Okay. But
I
if I
mean
have a
we can.
question, if I have a question, sometimes I'll text you first.
Okay. Yeah, because this
All
is
right.
gonna be fucking, this it's gonna be sports related questions because I didn't really have time to fucking crack down on
Cool. Cool.
any
Cool. Cool.
big questions. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'll start this timer here. All right. Um, greatest MMA fighter of all time
Oh shit.
and why?
Donald Cerrone,
Why?
because he went up and down in weight class and he fought anybody and everybody.
But I will say my argument here is he never won a title.
That doesn't matter. Titles are bullshit. Titles are shit. He fought. He held. He holds like some of the almost all the records. He holds a lot of the
He,
records in the UFC.
he does.
He put in work. He had performance anxiety and he fucking knew it and he was open and he talked about it. That motherfucker never said no to a fight. He fought anybody and everybody, even when his stomach was fucked. When he was
Yeah,
taking body shots and folding at body shots, he still took fights.
this is
This
true.
dude, he's a natural athlete, and not only that, he's not a fucking pussy.
Respect. I'll give you
And
that.
I've met him personally a few times, and he's a fucking rad dude.
Yeah, I met him when I was still working at the Hard Rock. He's a pretty fucking cool
That's where I
dude.
met him.
That's funny. He used to hang out there a lot.
I know, right?
All right. Greatest NFL player of all time.
Barry Sanders.
Why?
No, no. Oh my god. No, yeah, I'm gonna go with Barry Sanders because he's the guy. He's the guy you hand the ball off to.
All right. All right. All right. Greatest basketball player of all time.
Michael Jordan.
Why?
I don't need to explain. Michael Jordan. First of
uh,
all, I hate LeBron James. I think he's a fucking giant piece of shit. The game is so much softer. I guess I will explain. The game is so much softer than it was when Jordan played. If you go side to side comparison of the calls that LeBron gets now because he bitches a lot, if you look side, Jordan got fucking bombed on. Nobody wanted to play against Jordan. Everybody wanted to hurt Jordan, but he still fucking played the game, right?
yep.
LeBron James complains when he wins, complains when he loses. Doesn't matter when or where. He fucking does it. He's a complainer. And he switched teams, what now? 4 times?
He went Cavs, Heat, back to the
Cavs.
Cavs. Now he's on the Lakers.
And they were about to trade into the fucking Golden State Warriors. And the way he ended that whole thing was like, dude, either say you're gonna stay with the Lakers or fucking not. He's like, well, I don't know where I'll end up, but I want to wear the Laker uniform. So what he was really saying is he didn't want to be second best to Steph Curry. That's why he
Yeah.
didn't go to Golden State. He didn't want to be number two. and they weren't going to give him enough money. So he stayed in Laker where he's number one. You know, big fish in a small pond, they're pretty fucking awesome. They're
Yeah.
pretty fucking awesome. He didn't want to go to a smaller pond where Steph Curry is half his fucking size
Yeah.
and twice the fucking player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's valid.
What about you, bro?
Greatest MMA fighter of all time. I'm really kind of torn between Anderson Silva and John Jones. And I would say that the way what?
It doesn't matter
You
if
got
you're
some.
torn, you're wrong on both ends.
Who's better than him?
Donald Cerrone, BJ Penn.
Mm, I no. There's no way. And I like BJ Penn and I like Donald Cerrone, but
Also,
who who came
also
onto the
the
scene? Who came onto the scene harder than Anderson Silva, bro?
also the double champ, fucking Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier?
Yeah, the original double champ.
No, because Randy Couture did it.
Did he? Yeah,
Yes.
205 in heavyweight. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
205 light heavy.
right.
But no, the reason I say that, dude, like, bro, how is it that you couldn't say that John Jones is not like the greatest of all time? Because like the PED scrutiny, okay, I get that. But
Because
even still,
he doesn't show up when the hard fights happen. He shows up when the easy fights happen.
mm, I don't know. And
Aside
it and,
aside
and
from
even even if I was even if I
aside from
was
DC, aside from
good,
DC, which all of them were hard fights, and he almost lost a couple.
yeah,
Aside from DC, he took easy fights.
he cleared out the entire light heavyweight division. What?
Bro, in that time that he was the UFC champion, the UFC light heavyweight division was fucking
It
trash.
was it was pretty weak. I'll give you that one. It was pretty weak.
This is going to be the thumbnail.
Greatest NFL player of all time. Uh, I'm probably gonna go now because that made me biased. Uh, I'd probably say
Where are we going to go? Hold on. Go with the original person because you're a Rams fan. Whatever.
no, I'm not like I say that off the top of my head. I was gonna say Marshall Falk, but it's not Marshall Falk. Uh,
Oh, it's
is he?
definitely not.
I mean, he could be in the conversation, but I would say probably Walter Payton. But I think that during his tenure in the NFL, I think he was before his time. So I think that he didn't really get a lot of the respect that he deserved at the time. Even though, like, I mean, the dude could run, he had speed, he had size, he could fucking catch out of the backfield, and at that time, not a lot of players were catching
Hey,
the
hold on.
football out of the backfield.
I got a notable mention. What about Frank Thomas?
Frank Thomas,
No, not Frank Thomas. Who played in it? Who
Thurman
played
Thomas,
no, who played baseball and football?
Deion Sanders, and
No, not Dion.
oh, you're talking about the fucking douchebag.
Oh,
Um,
Bo, right?
Bo Jackson,
Bo Jackson.
bro, he's a douche.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
Bro, he is like the biggest douche.
He
Like
could be a
he,
douchebag, but he played Major League Baseball and NFL in the same season.
yeah. Deion Sanders did that too, though.
Yeah, but Deion Sanders played fucking cornerback.
I mean, yeah. I think Bo Jackson was like, yeah, he was probably the most adaptable to be able to play baseball. Like, I mean, obviously his numbers were on just a whole nother level than what Deion Sanders was when it came to baseball. But like, dude had a fucking cannon. I will say that for fucking playing because I think he played right field.
I think he played right field. Yeah,
Yeah, he had a fucking cannon. I will say that. But yeah, I still roll with Walter.
I
Um,
dig that. I dig that.
basketball.
Basketball. If you have to think about it, I don't want to hear
I
your
mean,
answer.
well, no, like it's probably gonna be MJ. just purely based off of the fact that the dude's got what, 6 rings? Six
5.
rings, 6 or 7.
No,
Um,
he's got 5, bro.
no, I'm pretty sure he's got 6. But the reason I say that is just like more or less pretty much what you went on to say. Like, I think that the game has kind of catered to LeBron James, and
You're right. He has 6. But yes, I agree with that statement too.
yeah, like I just think that he they have made him bigger than the game, and that's why NBA ratings are in the fucking tank right now because game
Because he's
sucks.
a fucking joke.
Yeah,
He
like
complains, dude.
dude, he gets he
If
gets
he
calls he gets calls just by raising his
throwing his
hands.
hands up, yeah. If
Yeah,
that motherfucker just started slamming basketballs, I'd have much more respect for him.
yeah,
If he just played the fucking game, shut up, stop complaining about bullshit fouls, and when people interviewed him, asked him political questions, and he just answered, "I'm a basketball player," I'd have a
yeah,
lot more respect for him.
yeah,
The guy's a fucking retard.
yeah, yeah.
Like, how are you still on the first chapter of Malcolm X, even though none of us believe that you read it? Like, dude, if he read
uh,
that fucking book, he would be like Dr. Umar, whatever his name is.
yeah, yeah,
He'd be at least fucking trying to organize his people,
yeah.
but he's not. He's saying whatever the media is saying.
Oh yeah. No, it's
So
jump
so
on
fuck
jump
that
on the
guy.
narrative.
Yeah, so fuck that guy. But I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
I'll try to think of one for next time because we're gonna shoot again soon.
Yes. Yeah. Get Brandon's goofy ass on here.
For sure.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, and we will
For
see y'all
sure.
on the next one. Peace.
Peace.